Om Swastiastu. Good afternoon, and I hope we are all well. I give thanks to Ide Sanyang Diwasa for the grace and love that we have been given out to continue doing activities. Introduce me Wilhelmina Putri from 3D. What I respect is necessity, particularly as a lecturer in a speaking for academic purpose course. On this occasion, I will convey about the death penalty which is still in the participants of legality and humanity. The death penalty is cruel, inhuman, and a violation of the dignity of human life. The death penalty is unacceptable and is a serious crime. Justice can never be done by killing other humans, and he stressed there was no human way to carry out the death penalty. For Christians, all life is created because each one of us is created by God, who does not wish to punish one murder for another, but wants to see the repentance of a murder. Executive Director of the Respublika Political Institute, Benny Sauter, asserts that the death penalty is a form of punishment that is inhuman and violates human rights. He said, law enforcement officers should focus on the realm of preventive action by addressing the factors that cause a person or commit a criminal act. What must be eradicated are factors that can cause prisoners to do things that are contrary to law, morality, religions, or other social obligations which can be subject to criminal law. The death penalty has a long history in human society and has been used in almost all centuries. Usually, the death penalty is carried out in order to avoid justice in censorship. Our country, Indonesia, strongly rejects the death penalty because the death penalty is a cruel and inhuman form of punishment international human rights law, including the jurisprudence of courts in several countries and regions have respectively emphasized that the practice of execution of the death penalty is a cruel punishment, inhuman and degrading one's dignity. Therefore, apart from contradicting the 1945 Constitution, the human rights law, and the international covenant on civil rights, punishing by being shot, held, hanged, burned alive. All of these are humans acts that should not be done by humans. If the law is done, then the one who commits the law has a human sense. God alone does not. Tutoring the duality like that, He will give as humans the opportunity to improve themselves with obstacles and challenges to improve themselves. Then, why do humans enforce laws that are not in accordance with God's teachings? However, the way the death row inmates were executed, this punishment is still considered by some as heinous form of punishment. Therefore, now 90 countries in the world abolish the death penalty altogether. 11 other countries abolish the death penalty except for extraordinary crimes. In addition, 32 have not abolished the death penalty, but have never implemented the death penalty in countries like the States use their direction not to sentence them to death. In many cases, including in Indonesia, confession have become something that is often inevitable in criminal law practice. The combination of a lack of effective judicial control, particularly over long pre-trial detention term, the absence of immunity on a death sentence fictions, a lack of mechanism effective appeals, as well as the need for a fair trial process have opened up opportunities for conviction. In many cases, including in Indonesia, conviction have become something that is often inevitable in criminal law practice. The combination of a lack of effective judicial control, particularly over long pre-trial detention term, the absence of immunity on a death sentence discussion, a lack of mechanism effective appeals, as well as the need for a fair trial process have opened up opportunities for convictions. Whereas in the practice of the death penalty, it is no longer possible to correct punishment. This is still a big problem if those who impose punishment are wrong to punish humans. According to the conventional view, the death penalty is considered necessary to prevent a person from committing a crime. In contrast, comprehensive survey conducted by the United Nations in 1988 and 1996 found that there was no scientific evidence According to the conventional view, the death penalty is considered necessary to prevent a person from committing a crime. According to the conventional view, the death penalty is considered necessary to prevent a person from committing a crime. In contrast, according to the conventional view, the death penalty is considered necessary to prevent a person from committing a crime. In contrast, comprehensive surveys conducted by the United Nations in 1988 and 1996 found that there was no scientific evidence that the execution of the death penalty had a greater deterrent effect than life imprisonment. The solution to the problem of the death penalty being sentenced is an error in punishment. Actually, this error has almost no solution because when the sentence has been passed, as the saying goes, rice has become porridge. Everything has happened and cannot happen. Return, therefore, the death penalty has a great effect. What can happen other than wrong punishment will also damage the good name of the person. The death penalty is very contrary to human rights, where legal provisions regulating human rights basically created the most basic of all human rights, namely the right to live. Thus, The human right to live is not easy revoked or defined. Only on a legal basis and a foundation that contains resonance, con- constitutional and formal rules. Can human rights be redeemed or revoked? However, it must go through a legal process that is just and right. Deprivation of human rights, either temporarily or permanently, can be justified. This is because, according to Elaine Pageles, as quotes by Masur Effendi, the essential element of human rights policy will involve building a philosophical and religious foundation in terms that will speak to people or Persian culture. The vocation of human rights is a set of rights inherent in the essence of human existence as God's curtains and is a gift that must be respected, upheld, and protected by the state, law, government, and everyone for the honor and protection of human dignity. In conclusion, the death penalty has not actually been able to provide a deterrent effect on the perpetrator and acts inhumanly because it is very sadistic and cruel. Punishing other people requires a long process and requires strong evidence and belief that the perpetrator is really wrong. The death penalty for the death penalty for serious crimes that have resulted in many castles against the community is not against human rights because in the context of enforcement in Indonesia, it demands a balance between human right and obligation. The human conviction of crimes in the form of the immediate from change the shape of the implementation of human rights. The right to life from the Constitution on laws because in committing crimes they violate the right of life of others. So many speeches from me, words or sentences that are not pleasing to my heart. I apologize profusely. I hope my speech can be useful for all of you. Thank you and on Santi, Santi, Santi on.